So a few weeks ago, I shared the story about the people who got me into D&D, specifically during the D30 character story. Be sure to check that out up there, or there, wherever it is. Either way, this was a really fascinating group because they had a really interesting idea of how D&D was meant to be run. Now, in their defense, they played 2nd edition D&D, which was also known as Advanced D&D or AD&D. It was an unusual game. They had a lot of varying rules, and depending on which splat book you were looking at the time, it had different sets of rules. These set of rules in particular supposedly came out of the official instruction books, but yeah, we'll get into that in a bit. The story isn't necessarily about how they failed to grasp the mechanics of the game, but more on my first interaction in the game. That's right, we're going to talk about my first session as a player, and it's bad. It's bad. So I got invited to this group by my best friend at the time. His name was Justin. Hey Justin, how you doing? I don't know if he's actually watching. I just wanted to say hi to him. So hi if you're there. Everyone in the comments say hi Justin. Please get the engagement in this video up. So anyway, Justin invited me over to his aunt's place, and I really liked playing with these guys. They were really fun and they were really engaging, and they were really friendly, and they were nice enough to bring me in. Now, in this particular time, his uncle brought in a new module that he wanted to play. He got a new adventure pack, although granted this was 2004, and I don't know how new a 2nd edition D&D game was when the game was like already in like 4th edition. So I don't know where he got this, but it was really, really fascinating. Essentially, what the party had to do is they had to sneak into this castle, and inside this castle, they had to sneak their way through and rescue a prisoner and get them out. And that's all the information I was given. The other players already had their characters in, and they wanted to bring their high-level guys. They wanted to bring in like their 8th and 9th level characters. Now that's very, very strong in old school D&D, to the point that like you're actually doing some really crazy stuff. When they brought me in, they were like, hey, it's not fair if you start at level 1 because it's not fun to you. Also, you're going to get bodied by everything in this setting. So instead, we're going to start you off at level 5. And so I started rolling up a 5th level character. And whenever I make a new character in any sort of game, be it Harvest Moon, be it any sort of adventure game, I always make like a 1st level warrior and I name him Mark. I don't know why. Mark to me is just a really nice, strong name, so I like Mark. I made Mark. He is just a guy with a sword, and when I started making this character up, I did not realize Justin's family had a bit, like, they had some creativity stalls. It was really weird. They all had some characters that were surprisingly creative. Like, one played a dwarf who her weapon only material, like, she never carried any weapons with her because of the way they played their mechanics. A person could only specialize with one weapon in their life. I don't know. But anyone could do it. It was weird. So the way her character worked is when she raised her hands like this, her weapon would appear in her hand. Pretty neat. The uncle was playing a gnoll, I think? I don't know what he was playing. He was kind of bringing in his DM PC. Justin brought in his elf guy. I believe his name was Kovo, and he was basically Legolas. I think he was Legolas. Justin, if you're watching, post in the comments. Tell me what this guy was about, because I don't freaking know, man. Like, I don't remember. And then I brought in Mark, and they're like, okay, what's Mark's backstory? And like on the fly, I was like, oh, Mark was a mercenary. And I'm looking at the book, and I just kind of rolled a skill. I was like, cartography. I guess he made the maps for the mercenary group. He was a farmer, and like I'm making this up on the fly. And he joined the group, and he kept track of their maps because he wasn't a super good fighter, and he fought with a short sword and a shield, and he was doing all this, and they were like really impressed by this. And I was like, yeah, that was babies first. That was not me trying at all. That's the kind of group that I'm playing with right now. So I did not think, it wasn't a very cerebral campaign.
Your work is more cerebral than I expected.
We made our characters, and we somehow got snuck into, like, we got inside the castle walls already, and we were trying to get inside, like, the front door of the keep itself, and we wanted to move on from there. So we walk up to the door, and the one person knocks. I think it was the aunt that knocked, and this guy, like one of those New York style, like, visible door things. He opens that up and he's like, what do you want? By the way, since this was an orc castle, they said in the flavor text that if anyone was an elf, that apparently orcs can smell elves, which is a really interesting character concept. So we made sure to roll Kovo around and poo before we got him there, and Justin didn't like that. We made him a poo elf. Hashtag poo elf. The party is standing there with poo elf in tow, and the orc was like, oh, you stink. Me no want you here. Shuts the thing. So we knock again, open it up. What you want? Apparently this orc didn't have object permanence and didn't remember us. And so we said again, can we come in? Shuts the door. Knock again, open up. What you want? This was our third attempt, and we just said, dude, we gotta talk to, and we rolled a name, and somehow we knew, like, the commander's name. We need to talk to Barry. Oh! And you could hear, like, the various click-clacks of, like, many different locks. You know, one of those New York-style doors. They open it up, and before they even talk to him, like, I believe the ant just shanked the dude with the knife, and he fell over dead. And I was like, oh! Okay, so that's how this works. So within my first encounter in the first game that I ever played, the first thing I saw was we didn't talk to this dude, we just straight up shanked him. He dead. Okay, moving on. So we go down this hallway and we're sneaking down, and like me, I'm being super duper careful. I did not want to like be the new guy that screwed up the game for everybody. And I was even drawing the map for everybody, and they were really happy to have me along because I was trying to be helpful and eager. So we get to the end of this hallway, we look around, nobody's around. It's the dead of night. Normally orcs are up at night, but whatever. Let's move past that. So we looked and we saw the fork at left and forked right. We went to the fork right, we turned around the corner, and there was a door. Opened the door slowly, we snuck in. There are two entryways that we see. One covered with like a silk sheet, and then one just like magical darkness. And we're like, not checking out the darkness first. So we looked inside the one with the sheet, and we looked inside and we could see that there's a dude sleeping in a bed. And I'm like, oh, and in my mind, I'm like, okay, we need to kill this guy. We need to make sure that he doesn't hear us because we're sneaking in. We got to rescue the prisoners. Okay. So I was like, I'm going to sneak in there and I'm going to stab him in the head. And Justin was like, no, dude, don't go in there because what if you slip and fall and you ruin it? And I'm like, oh, you're right. I broke out my character sheet, which is once again like the new boy's character sheet who marked down like the number of chickens he ate yesterday. I was trying my best to be the player that didn't ruin everything, and I found that I wrote candles and candy in there. So I took out a candle and I was like, okay, someone help me light the candle. So Justin's got Kovo over there, and Kovo is like with his flint and steel, and he's trying to light the candle, and we're like, oh god, it won't light, and I'm like freaking out, and I'm like, oh god, am I ruining the campaign? And we're rolling, and we just couldn't do it. We couldn't light the candle until Justin's uncle was like, oh, here. And he's holding the torch. He's holding a torch he's got over us, and he's like, oh, we're like, oh, thanks, dude. And we lit the candle, and we're like, yeah, we lit it. And then we stopped for a second, looked up, and Justin's uncle was holding a torch. Could have lit it on the torch. To be fair, this is very much how D&D typically plays out among a group of friends. So I pulled back the silk curtains, and Justin gave me a thumbs up because I'm being a good boy and I'm being helpful. I go in, and I'm like, I stabbed the dude in the back of the head because I thought, okay, how do I kill this guy as quickly and quietly as possible? I thought I had to roll for it, and I was like, okay, my sword only does 8 damage, or like 1 to 8 damage, but maybe like 10 with my good strength. So I was like, how much damage do I do? He's like, he's dead. He's Justin's uncle who was DMing. He's like, he's dead, dude. Dude, relax. It's fine. And we're like, whew, okay. So we snuck back out. The dude was dead. We killed this guy. Heck yeah. Strange, though, how his room was decorated, like, really nicely for the inside of this orc castle. Whatever. We're outside, and we figure out, okay, we want to explore the area with the magical darkness. So we're trying to figure out what the heck is going on, because we just don't know. And I don't think anyone was a magic user at the time. So we're like, we peek our head in, absolute darkness. Peek our head out. I peek in the candle, and then I see that there's a guy who is sleeping in there, and it's an orc, of course. And I peek in with the candle, And apparently what's actually happened is this guy was like a wizard or something, and he set up like a wall of magical darkness, and he used that because this orc in particular was so light sensitive that he had to sleep in utter darkness, otherwise he just couldn't sleep at all. He was that much of an insomniac. Really cool bit of flavor text. I don't know if Justin's uncle made that up himself or if he got it from the module. Either way, I really like that character trait. And I peeked in with the candle, and he started waking up, and I came out and I was like, oh god, guys, he's awake, what do we do? And Justin and I were like, we going to kill him. We're going to kill him. Kill. So I pulled out my sword and shield. And I was like, I'm ready, guys. And they were like, okay, go. And me and Justin charge in. I swing. Nat 1, nat 20. My first ever roll in D&D was a nat 20 and a nat 1. So I swung in. I ran in. Did a crit damage. Did like 10 to 12, which is really, really good. But then the natural one made me slip and fall on my head and do a boatload of damage to myself. This orc is now furious because like some a-hole just ran in and sliced at him. So this orc wizard is like, ah! And he pulls out some like fire and he starts like setting stuff or like cold damage or something. I don't know what he did. He was doing stuff and he was about to attack me. Justin came in with his bow and he like fired it, and the orc is just standing. He's like not down yet. But then the aunt went in, who brought in her D30 character, and she just rolled like a 12, and then she rolled damage and like 35 damage in one round. Just couldn't annihilated him. And this dude was dead within one round, and it was knucking futz. At that point, we were really accomplished. We were like, yeah, how much experience do we get for him? And Justin's uncle was like, you get like 1,000 experience because he was a really high-level wizard or something. We were like, yeah! And then he said, and now the campaign's over. And we're like, what? He turned the module around, and he showed us, so you were supposed to talk to this guy because he's the only one who has the password to get to the basement. Oops. So, thanks to me, and kind of Justin too. I mean, I'm gonna take the full blame on that because I didn't know what I was doing. I thought I had to kill everything because my first time seeing anyone interact with an NPC, they just straight up killed them, and then the second time, like, I just straight up killed another dude. So I thought we were doing great, and then this third guy, it did not even occur to me that we were supposed to talk to him. And, yeah, so I caused us to fail the campaign. And, I think he just kind of gave up from there because we stopped playing. And, to be honest, they were really sweet in the fact that they didn't blame me. I know I took a lot of this video kind of taking a dump on them, like, creatively or mechanically. But in honest, they were super sweet. And, Justin, if you're out there, what happened? Am I still recording? I am. Okay, weird. So yeah, sorry. Justin, if you're out there, you want to play again, if you want to bring the aunt and uncle in and the family, hit me up, dude. And that was my first time playing a campaign. I wasn't DM then, but I did DM the session after that because they wanted to all be players, and apparently no one likes being DM. So if you like that video, give it a like, share, and subscribe, and hit the bell and all those things. Be sure to check out our Pokemon D&D campaign and the GM tips and the other GM stories, and I'll catch you next time. Bye-bye.